Guys, all three of you were freshmen on the team last time that you played Notre Dame, and hindsight might be 20/20, but that loss was your only loss on the season. Could have prevented you from playing a national title game. So in talking to the younger guys this week, how have you kind of discussed how that game went and how important this rivalry is to all of you?
Yeah, I try to tell them, this is a huge game. I think they sort of understand it, but they don't really, fully understand the environment that we're going to be in. And I remember looking back at that game, Notre Dame was a physical, fast, violent team, kind of the same things that we pride ourselves on. So we understand that we need to do those things, and, we need to play our best, football game to go down there and get a win.
Tell them to grow up quick. You got to come out, be a man, make plays. It's going to be a man's game down there. I'm sure they're ready to play. We got to be ready to step up, play a great team.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing you take from that is people will have to grow up quick. There's a lot of young guys that'll play a huge role in this game, and even if it takes them a few plays, initially they got to grow up fast. It's an intense atmosphere, especially a night game there. Whether it's the band, staring you down when you're walking out there, or the fans, or whatever it is. It's going to be intense, but we just got to go out and everybody have the confidence, that everybody's got each other's back, and I think that's the biggest thing we can take from the last time we were there.
Two questions, starting with you, Riley. A lot of people don't know because they know your Michigan State heritage, but you have a long lineage with Notre Dame as well. So for you, having grown up both sides of this, does it make it a little bit extra special even for you?
Yeah, I think it definitely does. Like you said, growing up, we would go to Notre Dame games, and then the next week come to a Michigan State game. I feel like we were always traveling. But it was a great time going to those games. My grandpa has a huge part over there. My mom went there. My uncle played there. To be able to go down there and get a win against them in that environment, it would mean so much to the team. But, I think for me, it would especially mean a lot.
And then, Tyler, for you, going on the attack is important for the Michigan State offense this week. You're just not going to be able to go down and run it and get out with a 3-zip win. You like that because you're an attacking type of quarterback. So do you salivate a little bit more knowing the game plan is going to call for you to have to go on the attack?
Yeah, after having our game plan meeting with Coach Warner last night, I think we have a lot of opportunities to make a lot of plays, and it's important for us to get the ball in our playmakers' hands, and we want to do that early and often, I guess is what Coach Warner says, and we will have them on their heels and kind of keep attacking because we know we're going to have to score points. And we know our defense, we have great confidence in our defense. But it's our job to keep our defense off the field, and it's our job to score points. So, yeah, we're definitely excited about this opportunity.
Tyler, looking back at the game last year at Ohio State, what kind of things did you take from playing in that big game environment going into this? And what have you heard from either Kirk or Connor of what to expect at Notre Dame Stadium?
Personally, I haven't heard from either of them yet. But I think looking back at that Ohio State game is we played in front of the biggest crowd, and I think in the Horseshoe's history. And then looking at that defense that our offense went against, we played against some of the top guys. I don't know how many guys got drafted on that defense, but essentially that we can go out there and we can do anything that we decide to do and what we put our mind to, as long as we go as one. And that's what that offense did that day in the Horseshoe last year. So when we have that chemistry and that mindset that we're not going to be defeated, we're not going to be stopped, we do feel that we're unstoppable, and I think we kind of showed that last year. So we think we're going to have to put up more points than we did. Obviously the weather wasn't great last year, but when we have that mindset that we had that last year, we're a pretty unstoppable offense, we feel.
Tyler, with a name like O'Connor, what are your thoughts going into a game against the Irish, and how have you regarded them over the years?
Growing up, if any fan, I was a Notre Dame fan, so that's obviously faded a long time ago. But it's a rich tradition. It's great history over at Notre Dame. I'd been there a couple of times as a kid, and it's a great environment to play a game, and it's something that you dream about, whether you were or weren't a Notre Dame fan or liked or didn't like Notre Dame. It's a great atmosphere, playing on NBC and everything. It's a nationally covered game. It's just a great opportunity to play in a great environment in front of the whole country. And it's always been a rivalry that everybody's wanted to watch, Michigan State and Notre Dame. And there's been a lot of great games, and we just want to add to that this year.
Riley, what have you seen from Deshaun Kaiser watching him, and then for Demetrious, what has stood out to you about the Notre Dame receivers?
I would just say overall, their offense is extremely athletic, and they got a lot of players. Kaiser, he's an athletic guy. He can throw the ball, but he can also, take it and run. So to combat that, you got to be fundamentally sound on defense. Everyone's got to do their job, and they got to do it every single play for the entire game. So that's what we're preparing to do this week in practice. So I'm sure our coaches will be all over the scout team to try and give us the best look, and that's kind of how we're going about it.
Kaiser's going to throw it up there. He has a lot of threats. All those guys can stretch the field, make explosive plays. So we're going to have to be on our A game, make 50-50 plays on the ball, things like that.
This is over here. For all three of you, Coach D'Antonio was talking about the foundation he has with this program and kind of the basics that it's built upon. What stands out to you when they say Michigan State football and this program?
I would say the first word that comes to my mind is toughness. I feel like especially since Coach D and his staff have been here, that's kind of what the players pride themselves on. And us older guys, we try to preach that to the younger guys so they can carry on that tradition as well. But I think in the past, several years, we've definitely had tough players here, and that's what's kind of allowed us to get to the point that we've been at in the last couple of years.
Yeah, I think almost along the same lines as one of Coach D's favorite things, the jersey's earned and never given. And that's something that's very important because when you first get here, a lot of guys across the country, they went through the recruiting process and they have, big heads because of how they were praised and going to high school. And then as soon as you get here, no matter how many stars you came in with or whatever it is, you have to earn everything that you get, whether it's a shot on the field, whether it's another opportunity to play with the ones or whatever it is when you first get here. Everything is earned and not given here. I think that's the biggest thing that we preach here and that this program is based on.
Yeah, I would also agree. Going off what both of them said, it is what it is. It's a tough program. Everything we do, every workout, even just getting up in the morning, it's just you have to be tough to just be a part of this. And going off also what T.O. said, we have I would say family if I had to say one, because being recruited, our coaches weren't just telling you kind of what you wanted to hear. They kind of were going to tell you you're going to come in and be a part of something big, and it was going to be a family-oriented program, and Coach D was going to actually care about you as a person and a man, and that's what it really comes down to here.
Riley, with a dad who played Michigan State and a mom from Notre Dame, what are weeks like this like at your house?
Oh, my mom bleeds green nowadays, so she'll definitely be wearing the Spartan jersey and rooting us on.
And then in terms of the linebackers, you guys get Ed Davis back, probably John Rescue back. What does that mean to you guys? Obviously, the other three played pretty well in the opener. What does it mean to get those guys back in the mix this week?
Oh, it means a lot. Those two guys are tremendous players and just fun guys to have out with you on the field, guys that bring a lot of energy and a lot of excitement to our defense. So to have them back, in practice this week and then for the game, I think is huge for our defense and for our team as a whole. Yeah, for sure. I think, being voted a captain was a huge thing for me to be able to carry on that tradition. And now to, be seen as one of the leaders on the team and to, go down and play Notre Dame, a team that, we rooted for growing up because we understand what kind of program it is. But now to go down there and get a win, would be huge for this team and to start this season off.
So, Riley, you kind of like that fight song, don't you?
I don't mind it.
Tyler, you wait 4 years to play. You play one game and you have a bye week. You must have been tough to live with last weekend.
It's definitely been a long week off. I think even after playing on a Friday and then having all day Saturday to watch college football and everything, and then there were even games on Sunday and Monday, that was a long weekend already in itself. Then you go into the next week and have to do it all over again. So It's definitely been a long time, and we've been ready to get to work, and we've been working, and we had a tough bye week. I think we would all agree that we had our toughest bye week that we've had since we've been here over the past few years, and rightfully so. I mean, we need it. It's early in the season, and obviously a big-time opponent. So we're all excited to get to work again here today. The prep never really stops, whether it's in the film or it didn't really stop this whole weekend in the film room, or just getting our bodies right and healthy and getting our legs up under us. But yeah, it's been a long time coming. You know, I think, like I said, this is almost like a second season opener because the bye week was so early, and this can really catapult our season right here.
Demetrious, what do you still have to learn about the defense, about the secondary that you don't know yet?
If I would have to say one thing, I would like to learn more about where the blitzes and the stunts are coming from, because sometimes being left out there, kind of on the islands, that all is because of where the blitz is, what's happening up front. So sometimes you have more help. If I have a linebacker, kind of walling off inside on a certain play, I can, play more outside and certain things like that.
Another one for Demetrious. Coach Antonio was here a couple minutes ago telling us how they went deep like 20 times, I think, the last time. How much of a workload is the secondary kind of expecting? And obviously Darian was a guy that saw a lot of passes his way in the opener. How would you seen him kind of deal with that?
It's all about just technique. We're gonna play fast. Guys are gonna play fast. Both teams. We got to play sound with technique. Do little things, down the field. Getting our hands on guys early off the line, and just certain things like that. Like Coach Barnett, tries to teach us early on, and really also not having any communication breakdowns as well. Because I feel like we have a great scheme, great game plan for that going in. So if we stick to it and play with good deep ball judgment and things like that, we'll be fine.
Tyler, you spoke about how it was a long week for you because it was a bye week. Put yourself in the mind, you're a quarterback coach, you're Coach O'Connor. What advice would you give to Tyler from game 1 to game 2?
I think the biggest thing, and I even gave it the advice to some of the other players, was just to kind of, and yeah, I know it's early, but you got to take a mental load off of football. I mean, we had been going straight from fall camp and then into the first week and then played a game, but we're not going to get another bye week, and it's going to be a long, 12 weeks straight of football. So the first few days took a mental load off, watch some football and just kind of relax. And what we did and what Coach Salem told me to do was just watch football and see how quarterbacks are playing, see how they're reacting, and understand that it's just a game. It's just, and I can go out there and do that same thing that some of the top quarterbacks in the country are doing. So just kind of relax, have fun, enjoy football, and then be ready to go this upcoming Saturday.
For all three, this is the 50th anniversary of the '66 game. How does that game factor into you being one of the iconic games in college football history? What it meant to this school and how that game was played, if you've read about it or heard about it?
I think it means, a lot, especially to me, my grandpa being a part of that game. But just the guys now, we understand, what kind of program Notre Dame is. They have tough players, tough coaches. And like I said earlier, they pride themselves on the same things that we do. So we know it's going to be a battle down there. But, we feel like our guys are going to be ready to play. And we're all, excited for the opportunity.
For me, for being a guy from Pittsburgh, you don't understand what it's like until you get here. And then you go out. I remember 2012 seeing how the fans were and how the alumni were and everything was the first time we played them. And then going down there, 2013, same thing with all the rivalries, Michigan, all those guys. You really don't understand until you're in it and you're part of it, part of the history. And that's a huge part of what fuels me, what fueled me on game day. I know all the guys will come back, be hitting us up, getting us fired up, because it's important to everybody. It's not just us, it's everybody that came before us.
I think that's one of the biggest things. You know how big a game is when all the former Spartans are hitting you up and telling you good luck and how much this means and everything like that. But I guess kind of along with Riley, I mean, my personal history with Notre Dame or whatever, it's awesome to be a part of this. It's something that, like I said, you dream about, just playing in Notre Dame Stadium and under the lights and everything like that. And we played in the 100th Rose Bowl game, which is awesome. And this will be up there with them. If you can go out there and go into Notre Dame in a night game that they don't have too often there and get a win.
Just sort of follow up on his question about the 1966 game. Obviously, it ended 10-10. Nowadays there's basically no ties in college football. Can you imagine playing in a game of that magnitude and having it end that way? Is it a little wild to think about an era where that could happen?
Yeah, I couldn't imagine that. I think the fans would be even more upset probably than the players, just because they're crazy down there and up here.
Tyler,
I wouldn't be. I'm not a big tie guy, so no.
Yeah, that couldn't happen.
I'm too we're way too competitive for that.
For something like that to happen.
Can't have a tie.
We'd
like meet somewhere else and like play in the parking lot or something.
Tyler, given how Texas struggled against a two-quarterback approach, Notre Dame struggled against Texas with a pocket passer, and a mobile quarterback, do you expect to run more or maybe even split time with Damian like you did at Columbus last year?
I'm not sure. It hasn't really been discussed what exactly the game plan is as far as that goes, but certainly I do expect to run the ball more just because I didn't really at all last week, and maybe that was designed, maybe it wasn't by Coach Warner's game plan, but whatever's called upon is what's going to happen. I told him many times I'm very excited about running the ball, whether it's getting 4 yards on first down and putting us in a better second down situation, then great. Whether it's breaking a long one, great. So whatever's called upon, I'm not necessarily sure how he's going to call it yet. We kind of learned that throughout the week, and we kind of understand that as the practice plays get called. But I'm ready for it, and I'm excited about it.
Tyler, a two-parter. One, the offensive line. Obviously, it's something that's going to be critical for this game to get you protection. Can you talk a little bit about what you saw from them in game one? And then also with RJ and Felton, how important are they to playing downfield for you guys? And what do you need to see from them this week?
Well, first of all, if you look at the O-line in the first game, and they played tremendous. They protected great. I think our 1 or 2 sacks were kind of both covered sacks. So that's kind of, it's on me. It's on the receivers getting open and everything. So the offensive line played great, and I'm not worried about them at all. And we've never been worried. We have a great O-line coach and Coach Staten, and the group of guys that's there. They want to work so bad. And like I said, we talked about this in the preseason. There's some guys that have played but haven't necessarily been the stars at their position on the O-line. So there's guys that are excited about where they're at and to go out and kind of make a name for themselves because we've had such great O-linemen come through here already. So there's a lot of guys excited about that. But then also RJ and Felton, Felton played quite a bit and then went out, and then RJ obviously didn't play too much in the first game, but we've had great practices with them over the last couple of weeks. They're excited to play and everything and play on a national stage, especially Felton. He hasn't really, besides playing in the Big Ten championship game and briefly in the playoff, this is his kind of game to kind of come out and really make a name for himself. And he's very excited about it. We're on the same page. And like I said, we're going to have some deep play opportunities that they're going to have to go up and make some plays. Like I said, the 50-50 balls that our defensive backs want to win, they're going to need to win those as well.
You guys mentioned hearing from MSU alumni before this game. Riley, have you heard from any Notre Dame alumni in the family besides your mother about what to expect from this game? And has anyone said I'll root for you, but I'm rooting for Notre Dame?
Usually my grandpa and my uncles on the other side, they usually text me a day or two before the game. So they kind of let me prepare during the week. But I'm sure as the week goes on, I'll get some texts from family members and maybe some old friends too.
Guys, I just asked Coach D'Antonio what his favorite part about this rivalry was. There's varying degrees of rivalries with you guys, but I know you guys only briefly seen Notre Dame, but what's the favorite thing about, he called it unpredictability. What would be your favorite thing about this rivalry?
I would have to say how we're two really, really good programs, but I feel like we're kind of just different. How different we are, culturally, if that's a word. Our two cultures are different, but at the same time, we're yin and yang. So
I would just say the biggest thing, I think the atmosphere there is going to be, out of this world. There's going to be, so much coverage for that game. And Notre Dame has such a, profound following, people all over the country. They're one of the few teams that are, truly like that, have fans in all 50 states. So to go down there and play in a game like this, is going to be awesome.
I think just playing with such a rich tradition that Notre Dame carries with itself, and like I said, the following of Notre Dame is obviously huge. And in a sense, we kind of always have the chip on our shoulder no matter what. But obviously Notre Dame gets so much national coverage and everything like that we're going in there, I think, with an even bigger chip on our shoulder, and it's even a bigger opportunity for us to show out and show what we can do, I think.
Demetrious, I'll start with you, but really any of you guys can answer this. Against Furman, you guys had 10 penalties as a team, 120 yards, and only one of them was of a 5-yard variety. How was that addressed during the during the bye week?
Really? Well, first of all, Coach D was not happy at all. Over the bye week, we did a lot of disciplinary things, 4 penalties. We got to be more accountable for those. So I feel like he tried to do that, and really, he just said it's possible to play without penalties. I think we had a game against Nebraska or somebody. Wisconsin. We had no penalties, so he just wants to stress to us we beat ourselves sometimes in certain situations, and we can't let that happen if we want to be, back-to-back Big Ten champs and stuff like that. That's not great. Teams don't do things like that.
Yeah, I think offensively speaking, we halted 2 of our drives when we were driving the ball and everything, and we felt that we would have went down and scored if we didn't have a 10 or 15-yard penalty. And they weren't necessarily mental errors, as like they weren't jumping off sides, delay of games, illegal formations, and things like that. There were more technique and kind of just being dumb. I think we had a late hit maybe and a couple holding penalties. So whether that's technique or just kind of getting used to how the refs are calling the game, I'm not sure. I don't really block much or do any of that. So I guess that's kind of on the coaches themselves. But like I said, it's not really mental errors. It's more technique, I think, offensively at least.
One final question. Demetrious, have you ever played in a tie game?
Excuse me?
Have you ever been in a tie game? Have you ever played in one?
Tic-tac-toe.
So you like the college overtime rule, even when you're playing in it?
Yeah, for sure.